Deadpool Wolverine crossover that we're gonna have with Hugh Jackman. Oh my god, I'm
Yes.
tongue tied today.
Now keep in mind though that anything can happen. Patrick Stewart has already said that he would actually reprise his role as Professor X one last time if it was in Deadpool.
Oh, really? 'Cause I didn't hear that. Hugh Jackman has went off and he's stated in interviews that about the only way that he would go off and reprise the role, though, is if it was part of a Marvel Studio production with their characters.
Yes, and there's so many different things. Like, I do think we're gonna see a Wolverine-like character. Maybe not in Deadpool 2, but at some point mixing with Deadpool. And the main reason being is if you go back to the comic books, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the names wrong, but X-23 was actually part of, I believe, the X Factor, whose leader was Cable.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I may have butchered that name.
As far as I know, a couple of years ago, Marvel kind of did a reboot where they went off and literally killed off a lot of their major characters, brought some of them back, and Wolverine's daughter became the new Wolverine. And in some cases, I guess they kind of loosely based X-23 from the movie off of her. Loosely, I state. I don't want to give away too much in there.
No, we've already been requested that we try to keep it spoiler free, and we generally wait at least a couple weeks before we spoil. So we will be talking about Logan in a few episodes going forward, because this is definitely something we really want to talk about, because this is by far the greatest superhero movie in my eyes that I have ever seen. Yes, it actually surpasses Deadpool. I love Deadpool, but I believe Logan was the emotional roller coaster that we all needed.
I'm sorry. I'm here is a comic book movie where it was, and this isn't going to be spoilers. It was ultra violent. It was even more violent than we've seen Deadpool. It's probably, I wouldn't say the most violent comic book movie, because I can't verify that, but it is by far the most violent comic book movie that we have seen any character with Marvel from within the last 10 years, easily.
This is a movie that has made me do things that I never thought I would do. I bawled my eyes out, and a lot of it is the realization that this could potentially be the last. Not only is it the last time we see Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Professor X, but it could be our last time seeing either one of them acting, period. And for me, who I'm 28, and they've been doing this for 17, 18 years, I have never known anyone else, or anyone who's come close to the icon that these two have been.
Well, I'm not so worried about them acting per se, because Patrick Stewart, had a phenomenal career before he, took on the role of Charles Xavier. He is going to go on to do phenomenal things, from this point on. Hugh Jackman has, from day one, has refused to allow himself to be typecast. We're talking about a guy who's went off and hosted and won Tonys, who's went off and done musicals, who's went off and done comedies, who's done action movies.
Les Miserables.
Yeah,
which I think was actually referenced in the movie.
Maybe.
No, I may have been thinking a different movie.
I think you might have. If it had been a Deadpool movie, maybe. But these guys are going to be. They're going to go on. They're going to have success elsewhere.
The thing though is, with Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine for as long as he has, I don't foresee him wanting to step back into any role, because no one is really going to see him as anything but. And rightfully so. The guy literally was the embodiment of what Wolverine should be.
And quite possibly he might have to do what Michael Keaton has one off in that. Michael Keaton, of course, played Batman in Batman Returns, and did not do another comic book movie until Spider-Man: Homecoming, which is going to be coming out later this year, and he's playing the Vulture. So several. I mean, it's going to be several years between them. Oh, cool.
And it goes perfect with that quote. You either die the hero or live long enough to be the villain.
Yeah, and I love that. That is actually an incredible, reference in this case. I mean, going from being what some people would be considered to be the most iconic DC villain to becoming one of Marvel's most iconic villains. But going back to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I actually on Facebook in a comment about someone that posted about Wolverine. This is, yes, it was really violent, but it was a really great story, and I feel bad for whoever Fox decides to try to bring on as the next Wolverine, because their shoes that Hugh Jackman has left behind are far too big for anyone to fill.
Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to go for a quick music break. Definitely, I do want to touch a little bit more on that, because I have some ideas going forward, and I definitely think that this is a perfect conversation for us. So enjoy our music, and we will be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show. So if you've been tuning along all along, we've been talking about, Logan as well as the Deadpool teaser before the show. What we're going to touch on a little bit is, of course, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Now, we both have difference of opinions on different things. I love the fact that this was a really dark, gritty, very graphic movie. I think
I agree.
With Hugh Jackman's last movie as Wolverine, this is exactly how it should have been. But I do feel that this would not have worked had it not been for Deadpool. So in a little sort of way,
I agree with you, because this is, other than, oh god, my brain is completely not going there.
Watchmen was another comic book.
It was gritty, but I think that was like PG-13.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but I'm trying to think of. Oh god, it's going to drive me crazy, because I know 30 seconds after we go off the air, the name of the comic book character is going to pop out, out there. They went off and they did a movie with him several years ago, and it absolutely stunk up the joint. It wasn't Marvel or DC, and Spawn.
Yes.
And Spawn, there was Spawn, I think they didn't go far enough with Spawn, and I don't even think Spawn was rated R. But, Deadpool, became not only became the top grossing rated R movie of all time, but it also went off and showed that you could get a much grittier, much darker, much more violent, story, and it'll still attract the fans.
Yes,
and so I completely agree. They need, because of the success of Deadpool, it allowed Hugh Jackman, and his writing team to go off and to kind of force this and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is my last one here, and I'm going to do it right, because, honestly, the other Wolverine standalone movies have been less than, spectacular.
No, I completely agree. And it does make you wonder going forward, is this what we're going to see? Are we going to see a lot more, maybe not rated R, but 18A, and movies like that? Are we going to see a more, a more gritty Batman? a very, very dark Superman. Like, is this where we're going?
Okay, well, first off, I mean, DC's movies tend to be very dark anyways.
But not to the way that, Logan has been, as well as Deadpool. Like, I think, honestly, if you had the Deadpool-style Batman, I guarantee Batman would be my favorite superhero immediately.
And, okay, to a certain degree, I agree with that, but, I mean, the more violent, style doesn't necessarily fit with every character. Batman, if you go off and you go back to his style, his original thinking, he did not go off and he did not kill. See, they went off and when they did the mid-season mini 3-part series for Gotham. That is the one thing that young Bruce Wayne came away from the whole situation where he was kidnapped, where says, "I will not kill, no matter what, I will not kill," and that is the Batman. When it comes down to it,
there's got to be a point though. At any character realizes that to kill is to survive. And I think Batman is one of those ones. Like, if Batman killed at least one of his villains, Gotham would be slightly safer. And I think it's definitely something very interesting to. And
I hate that because, I mean, one of the things that I went off and for years have went off and complained about is how they go off and they kill off the big villains. They've been doing this. Oh God, they've been doing this since 1989 when Jack Nicholson was killed by Joker was killed during in the middle of Batman. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen a movie that's almost 30 years old. It's it's the truth, guys.
Yeah, and we just gave another example of another gritty, dark movie, and that's Punisher Warzone. So
any Punisher movie,
yes.
Period.
That one was exceptionally dark, and I loved it. I am definitely, very into the dark movies. I think it speaks to me more on different levels, but then again, I like the action, I like the excitement, I like the wondering, all these things is like, will he snap? Will he not snap?
I understand, but I can't go off that. I can't see something like Guardians of the Galaxy going, getting that dark and gritty. And I mean, if they ever decide to make a Squirrel Girl movie, and I'm trying to say that with a straight face, I can't imagine they're going to do a gritty Squirrel Girl movie that's going to be, rated 18A. Or rated R, or whatever the heck they want to call it.
It definitely does go with the character, but I think in some points, certain ones can be taken to that level. Like, I would like to see Aquaman in a more of a rated R. Kind of. I think that's a movie that they could definitely take in that direction. Same with Wonder Woman.
I don't know necessarily about Aquaman, whether you need to really take him to something that gritty. The simple fact that what I've seen of what they've done with Aquaman for the DC cinematic universe lately is kind of rebuild that character's reputation from being such a character that the members of the cast from Big Bang Theory were fighting over how they did not want it to be Aquaman because he was so dumb. So,
I think though with Jason Momoa as Aquaman in the new adaptations of it, I think he has that feel like if you go back to when he played oh my god, in Game of Thrones, it was a very dark and gritty, how he was there, and I think he is the perfect person who can take Aquaman into that, especially the origin, where he came from.
Again, I mean, it was being that gritty and that dark and that violent. It works for Wolverine. It works for Deadpool. I would argue with you that there are very few comic book characters that are within DC and Marvel that's going to fit with. And again, I don't think they necessarily says, okay, well, I hope this does not become a trend I know you kind of like, oh yeah, let's go there.
Well, I wouldn't say a trend. I do think that you need a little bit more gritty, dark movies, but you also need the light ones. For example, you got the Squirrel Girl. You have the Justice League, the things like that.